Hello, hello, it's Carrie from Lemia Fox Jewelry and Art. I'm back with another video in my series for the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy Junk Journal. Today we are going to be selecting pages to put in the book. In reviewing what we put in the other books, we can get some ideas of what we can put in. Here you can see we have tea-stained ledger pages. Unfortunately, I have run out of those. However, I have a vintage ledger page book thingy. I got this from the thrift store. So I'm going to take out a few of these pages to use in here. Okay, so I've got that. As we're flipping through, I just want to mention that my goal in putting together pages is to be able to have 8 different varieties of papers for each book, and I'm going to be needing to have 2 sheets for each book since I have 2 signatures in each book, so I'm putting 1 piece in each signature. For the Hardy Boy books, I decided that I'd really like to have some map pages to be put in their books, so I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these. I've got these pages from a guest book that I got from the thrift store. I'm also using 1 sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock in each book. These have already been cut down because they are left over from my other project. I have these pages from the Book of Knowledge. Here are the computer punch cards that I will be using. Here are the scrapbooking paper that I have already cut down, and the graph paper that have already been cut down. These are my last 2 pieces of tea-stained ledger paper. And then, of course, these are project pages that I will be using in the Hardy Boy books. I also have these fun little pages and these weekly planner pages that will be used in the Nancy Drew books. So this book that I'm using to get pages from is just a kind of a cheap little composition notebook. I did get this at Office Depot, but you can get them anywhere. Because I want it to be so that the lines are this way, I'm actually cutting this down. I'm going to be cutting off what I don't need on the top and the sides. So I need 2 of these for each book that I'm doing. For the graph paper, because this is non-directional, I can do it like this. I was able to just take this and use one whole signature to put 2 sheets in the books, if that makes any sense. The other sheet that I'm using is this Elan Weekly Lesson Plan book, edition W208. This is available on Amazon. That said, I did get this at my local thrift store, and I paid $1 for it. Obviously, this was used. I'm only using the ones that are blank. Here we go. Okay, so these are the pages that I've come up with to be using in my project. Last time I was recording, I was showing you my process on making these covers, and I showed you my process on taking the book pages out and culling the books and preparing them. When I started this project, I thought I'd only be doing the vintage Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy books. Then I decided that you guys might like to see the process of me working with the newer books and seeing my process in putting this book together. So I've decided that I would do that and show that. Because I did this, I did end up needing to reshuffle. I'm going to be doing these pages for the Hardy Boys books, and I'm going to be doing these pages for the Nancy Drew book. So I have a few different papers for the Nancy Drew book. I have a sheet of my scrapbooking paper, and instead of the Book of Knowledge book page, I'm going to do these flower book pages. I'm going to be using this to make my pocket page. I'm going to be cutting down these pages down here on the bottom. The important thing, like with this project, what I did is I used the offcuts. So I'll just show you how I am preparing my pages. For this guy right here, all I need to do with this is cut it down to 7 3/8. All of our pages will need to be cut down to this height. So they go like this. These will be going into the Hardy Boy books. And they will be going into the center of each signature. The next page I'm going to work on is going to be the middle page of the Nancy Drew book. Again, I'm cutting this page down to 7 3/8. I'm going to take some off of the top and then what's left off the bottom. There you go. Next, I will be working on the composition notebook pages. Let's go ahead and I decided to take the paper off of the bottom instead of the top because I liked the look of the column at the top of the page. I'm going to do it there. I'm going to cut this one at 4 5/8. There. I'm just fast forwarding through this process so you don't have to watch me doing the same thing over and over again. I'm just cutting down the pages to 7 3/8 by 4 5/8. These pages are pretty thin, so I was able to pretty much stack all of them together to do this. So we're going to keep our offcuts. Alrighty. Next, I'm going to work with my ledger pages and my planner pages. I'm going to start by cutting down my ledger paper to 7 3/8 inches tall. And I'm starting on this side because I want to have the ring holes as a piece of interest on the page. Once I've cut this down, I like to put it back through the cutter and like to measure out where I want to have the fold, and I will gently fold it into the size that I want it, and then I'll put it through, making sure to make it so that it's straight, and then I will cut off the end. You can see here I decided to cut it at 4 5/8 when it's folded in half. Here I am continuing that process for the rest of the pages for the other books, and I'm just making sure to cut and fold and cut and saving the offcuts so that I can use them in the next part of the putting the pages together. Okay, now we're gonna do this guy. I want to do this. I want to take off these little knobbies. We will go ahead and cut this down to 7 3/8 again. About 9 1/2. So here I am just finishing off the process of cutting these down and prepping them to go into the book. And I'm making sure to set aside my little pieces so that I can use them in the next part of this project. I decided to cut down the book page for the Nancy Drew book next, and instead of cutting it to the 7 3/8 inch, I decided to cut it so that I had the pictures on the top of the pages. I also ended up cutting off the little margins on either side of the book page. I did end up only needing to cut down one page of this book. So now I want to work with these larger pages. I'm going to start with the map pages, and I have 2 of them that I'm working with. We'll put 1 in each Hardy Boy book. Yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, because I kind of want to get that, I want to get this edge off. So we'll just go to the white and take off that edge. Okay, I'm super excited about this. We are going to cut these down to the 7 3/8. Okay, so right here, boom, we'll start here. We'll do it from here. I want these numbers down here, so 1, okay. All right, that's going to be perfect. So I'll do this and this. After cutting these down to 7 3/8, I decided to fold them in half. I'm going to take off the page number. That's what I'm going to do. I was a little sad to have to be taking off the page numbers, but I know that I'll be using these in the next part of our project. This is for the Hardy Boy books. We've got this piece. We're going to do this piece in half. So it's a 7. It's a 14-inch high. So we do 7-inch. And then I took off a little bit of this, and then I folded in half. After folding down my pages, I ended up cutting them down to 4 3/4 so that I could make sure that they would be just the right length to go in the signature. So these are these pages. So for these book pages, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tear them in half. These are from the Book of Knowledge. These guys do need to be cut down just a tit, but I'm going to fold them in half, and I'm going to cut this down to about 4 5/8. Okay. Here I am finishing up cutting down these pages. When you're making your book, just remember where you're going to be putting the pages in and cut down accordingly. Now, this is what I have for the Hardy Boys. This is for the Nancy Drew books. So these are my Hardy Boys and these are my Nancy Drew pages. Thanks for watching. I hope you catch me in my next video where I take the offcuts that I had in this video and put them together with the cold pages for some mysterious results.